transgender woman is sentenced to decades behind bars for stabbing her parents to death and killing their pet chihuahua when she was a teenager.
Fox 23's Brad Rogers was in court for the sentencing as family and friends pleaded with the judge to give her the maximum 55-year sentence.
I made a terrible mistake.
Andrea Balcer was 17 when she woke her parents and stabbed them to death. It happened on Halloween 2 years ago inside their home in Winthrop. Parents Alice and Antonio Balcer suffered multiple fatal stab wounds. Balcer told police as she hugged her mom, she raised her large knife, stabbed her, and then attacked her dad.
I am horrified by the knowledge that Alice's last conscious thought was of her being murdered by her own son.
The teen then called 911 and told a dispatcher she snapped. Prosecutors played a recording of that call as Balcer laughed about killing her parents. She later claimed her parents abused her and didn't support her transition from Andrew to Andrea. One by one, family and friends spoke up in court and called those claims outrageous. They say Ali and Antonio Balcer were kind, caring, and loving.
To justify these killings because of sexual identity or gender dysphoria beliefs is truly a cowardly act, and Andrea should be ashamed of herself for it.
Others called Balcer a monster who deserved the maximum 55-year prison sentence.
The time I would have had with him has been stolen from me and my family, and our lives will never be the same.
Balcer later asked her family for forgiveness.
Though no one may believe me, I am truly sorry for what I have done. I've killed my parents.
The judge sentenced Balcer to 40 years, taking her age and teenage brain development into consideration, saying in essence he wasn't willing to throw her life away.
We are disappointed with the sentence that was imposed, but you make your call and the judge makes his call.
Justice cannot be served in this case. No punishment will ever even out or pay for the magnitude of these crimes.
Brother Christopher Balcer was home that night and ran to the basement to hide. He says his brother at the time twice asked him if he wanted to die, then let him run from the house. In Augusta, Brad Rogers, Fox 23 News at 10.
A mother and father were killed 2 years ago by their teenager who has now been sentenced to 40 years in prison for their deaths. 20-year-old Andrea Balcer pleaded guilty as part of a deal with prosecutors. On Halloween night in 2016, Balcer called 911 to say he had stabbed his parents and the family dog. Balcer's transgender, formerly called Andrew, and was 17 at the time of the crime. In court today, Balcer asked for forgiveness from his family.
Though no one may believe me, I am truly sorry for what I have done. I've killed my parents, and I know that no amount of repenting will ever bring me true forgiveness for that.
I would like to have seen a lesser sentence, but under the circumstances, two murders and all the problems in the case, 40 years on balance. That back.
It was about trying to do justice for Alice and Antonio Balcer. We did the best we could in that sense. As I said, we are disappointed with the sentence that was imposed, but you make your call and the judge makes his call.
Balcer had said his parents, Alice and Antonio Balcer, weren't supportive of his transition from male to female and abused him. Family and friends disputed any notion the parents weren't supportive of Andrea. Carl Pierce, Alice's brother, said the suggestion that gender identity played a role is an insult to the parents' memory.
In other news tonight, 20-year-old Andrea Balcer is sentenced to 40 years in prison after admitting that she murdered her parents 2 years ago.
Balcer, who is transgender and used to go by Andrew, was 17 at the time but was charged as an adult. Balcer's age was the main factor in the judge's sentencing. The judge noting how gruesome the crimes were. Balcer stabbed to death her mom and dad and the family dog, but said the maximum punishment would have been close to a life sentence.
I mean, you're sentencing a 17-year-old, and that person is going to be fundamentally different later on. To put them in prison for 55 years with basically the rest of their life, or nearly two, would not take that into recognition. I think the judge said as much.
We recognize he's 17 years of age, but just the horrific nature of these crimes, he took responsibility. We get that, but on the other hand, he fully confessed right from the get-go to the crimes. I wasn't sure what choice there was but to plead guilty.
Balcer admitted to the crime in the 911 call and then later in a police interview. Family and friends of the victims spoke in court today and strongly denied Balcer's claims that her parents weren't accepting of her gender transition.